The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway. Whenever I was 8, my mom, sister, and I would always walk to the library during the summer and pick out a book to read. Well, that particular year, my mom says, John Taylor, hey, try to read this book. It's a really good book. And it was The Old Man and the Sea. Well, reading it then, it was okay. I mean, I didn't enjoy it as much as I probably could have. But going back and doing research on it for other projects that I had to do, I finally understood what she was talking about. The book itself is just written very, very well, and I discovered that there was Christian symbolism in the book. Well, I've been waiting a while to talk about this subject, and since this is like my last literature class that I'm going to have in college, I figure now's the best time. In The Old Man and the Sea, it tells of Santiago, who is an old fisherman in Cuba. Lately his expeditions have came back with no fish. All the other fishermen are just coming back with fish, and he's just like, I'm doing the same thing they are. Why am I not getting any fish? So one day he goes out alone, and he goes out further than he should to where the big fish are. Well, he finally catches something, a marlin, a big, huge fish. And he doesn't have the strength that it takes to kill the fish instantly. The fish is so strong, and Santiago is just as strong as the fish, but he can't do anything about it. So the fish pulls him for days, and he's just there holding the line. The line is cutting his hand, and I mean, this is an excruciating pain that Santiago is going through. He's jammed up in a boat, being pulled by the fish and holding on with his hands. That that is an example of the Christian symbolism in the book. His hands are being cut. Jesus' hands were being nailed. Um, so eventually the fish wears down and Santiago is able to kill it. Well, after killing it, a shark comes along and destroys his prize. That is his fish. He has emotionally bonded with it, and the shark just destroys what he's worked for. And on his journey back home, Santiago is just devastated that the fish is dead. He's having regrets on even catching the fish and going out that far because personally I believe that Santiago is represented by the fish. He's strong. He is at the top of his game. He's the the champion of the sea. He's the top dog, and he's just been killed, torn down, and I believe that's how Santiago is feeling. Whenever Santiago finally gets home, he just has all this guilt. He is exhausted, and he's ridden with all of this guilt. He thinks that the whole thing is a loss. Well, I mean, I'm sure he feels that. I don't know for sure, but the whole thing's a loss. But it's not. As Santiago is carrying the mast up the hill, Hemingway is letting the reader see, like, this is where the buzzard's going off and the lights are flashing, saying, look, these are the connections. He's carrying his mast up the hills like Jesus was carrying the cross to Calvary. How Santiago lays down in his shack, face down, hands up, hands facing up, represents Jesus. So if we look in the book at the book in a different way, Santiago found himself out there with the fish. It was meant for him to catch the fish. By the Ernest Hemingway drawing the conclusions between fish dying. Like, I mean, not between the fish, but between Jesus and Santiago, Santiago, like making that connection, we're able to look at the book and say, you know, that wasn't a loss. That was a test. We're turning loss into gain. Um, and by death, new life is born. I mean, it's just a cycle. We're turning defeat into triumph. And these are things that I didn't understand whenever I first read the book, but going back and studying the book, these are all ways that it's like a whole new perspective. And the book is really an amazing book, and it has so many like good qualities about it that just make it an enjoyable read. And so, on that note, next time I go to the library with my mom, I will be more open to her selection.